SRS, help, SRS. Hey there, guys. Joe Simons, like diamonds, salt strung here. You're wondering, Joe, have you lost your mind? It's SOS. No, it's not. It's SRS, and I truly do need your help, and it's going to take less than 60 seconds. Here's the deal. We've been approached multiple times by these advertisers who want to advertise on our podcast. We've said no to all of them because here's what they want to do. They told us on a 30 to 40-minute show, they want to put 9 advertisements. That means like every few minutes it is going to abruptly stop, and you're going to have to sit through a dumb advertisement. We do not want you to put you through that. It's a bad user experience. We are here to impact as many people as possible. So instead of us taking advertising money, all we ask in return is you do this one thing. It's going to take 60 seconds. It's the SRS. It's subscribe. That takes literally 1 second. If you're on iTunes, pause it right now. You can hit subscribe. If on Stitcher, same thing. So subscribe is number 1. R is review. Just take a few seconds and review this podcast. That's the number 1 way that Apple shares and recommends this to as many people as possible. It helps us make a massive impact and make sure that we never have to put ads on here. And the other one is to share it with anyone you think might love this message. So SRS, subscribe, review, and share. It would mean the world to us, and it helps get this message out there and this podcast out to as many people as possible and keeps it completely ad-free. So here is the message in the podcast for today. Hope you enjoy it. And if you can, please, 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 SRS, help, subscribe, review, and share. Thank you guys. Love you. Talk to you soon.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way.
And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing.
Here's your host, Joe Simons, like diamonds.
How to instantly become popular, even if you struggle to meet people, even if you absolutely struggle in social situations. Hey, everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, back again, Salt Strong Unchurched. You might be wondering, why is Joe talking about becoming popular? It reminds me of high school popularity contests. Well, this is just the opposite. I'm talking about having fulfilling relationships and having people around you who like to be around you. There are multiple studies that talk about overall fulfillment, how it's highly related and highly correlated to the amount of relationships you have in your life. And obviously, the more relationships and the better relationships you have, think about it. It's all about community. It's all about having people who love you, who care for you, who pray for you, etc. And there's really one magic way to attract people, almost like magnetically attract people to you. And I'm going to share that with you today. And I just had a party I went to right after reading this book that my friend Don Rice sent me. And I literally went to a party that evening and watched this happen in action. It was fascinating. So first and foremost, thank you, Don. Don is one of the very loyal listeners. I believe he has listened to every single Unchurched podcast. He's one of the handful of people who email me pretty much every single Sunday and tell me their thoughts. Sometimes I'm wrong, right? And here's what I learned. Here's some things you could add on to this, etc. So Don, I appreciate you big time. The book is called Skill with People. Don ran his own business for many years. And he said this book, which is, I don't know, it's 30-something pages, 34 pages. You can read it in an hour or so. It is, it's kind of the foundation of dealing with people and having skill with people. And right here, chapter 2 is how to skillfully talk to people. And I'm just going to read this to you. And some of this you probably already know. This is not like, holy smokes, I've never thought about this before, but it was such a good reminder, and it was so cool. I'm about to share what happened at this party that I went to the night after I read this here recently. Really, really fascinating. So here we go. When you are talking to people, pick out the most interesting subject in the world to them to talk about. What is the most interesting subject in the world to them? Themselves. So this is it, right? What is the most interesting subject in the world to someone you're talking to? It's themselves. When you get them to talk about themselves, they will all of a sudden be deeply interested and utterly fascinated. They will think well of you for doing this. It's just so crazy, right? We all think we want to be the hit of the party and we want to be the joke teller, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've been in that situation many times, but deep down, people more than anything else want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about where they travel, what they're doing, how their work's going, how their kids are doing, how their new fiance's doing. They want to talk about themselves. How's your puppy doing? How's your cat doing? It is crazy the power of this. So when you talk, and that was my line there. I'm going back to the book now. When you talk to people about themselves, you are rubbing them the right way. You are working with human nature. When you talk to people about yourself, you are rubbing people the wrong way and working against human nature. Take these 4 words out of your vocabulary: I, me, my, and mine. For those 4 words, substitute one word, the most powerful word spoken by the human tongue: you. Example, this is for you. You will benefit if you do this. This will please your family. You get both advantages. Whole lot more powerful than saying, I hope you will do this, or I really want you to do this, versus here's how you will benefit if you do this. And really, really fascinating when you take out those words, I, me, my, and mine. And we had a person on our team a while back, didn't make it that long, and they were the worst at this. In every conversation, like, we recorded, a lot of our Zoom calls and went back and watched some of them. And it was crazy. Everything he said was me, 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 mine. This is my team. Here's what I did. It was never about you. And no wonder no one on the team got along with this person. It was, he never, ever used the word you. It was always me, my, mine, and I. This is really, really powerful. And so many of us, including yours truly, are guilty of this. How many times have you been to a party or been in a social situation, and as someone's telling a story, you're instantly trying to think of some way you can one-up them, right? Fishermen are really guilty of this. I'm really guilty of this, where someone's telling a fishing story or showing you a fishing pic, and you haven't even heard the rest of their story yet. You're already, like, either in your mind or in your own phone scrolling to find your picture of that big red fish or marlin or mahi or whatever it was, almost so that you can trump them. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a good storyteller. There's nothing wrong if you have some epic story to do that. But every time you're doing that, think about how that makes the other person feel. You're not instantly popular when you one up their story or belittle their story or make their story seem smaller compared to yours. It makes you feel better, once again, because all we're mostly concerned about is ourselves. And the second you can flip that and say, oh my gosh, what an amazing story. Do you have any more pictures to show me? Versus, and I've done this before. I feel so guilty thinking about it. And it happened recently where someone was telling a story, and while they're finishing up their story, I'm literally going through my phone to find my fish pic that was obviously trumped theirs, right? And made me feel better and probably made them feel like an absolute zero. That's the horror. That person does not have any respect for me or want to share any more stories with me, versus had I done the opposite, kept my phone in my pocket and said, oh my gosh, what an amazing story. Like, tell me more. Like, do you have any more like that? And all of a sudden, I am their new BFF. And I've had so many instances where I did the right thing, right? Where I actually started asking more questions, and all of a sudden that person has told their spouse or gets back to me that, man, Joe is like the most amazing conversationalist. And I didn't even say a word. All I did was have them talk about themselves. So if you can get them to talk about themselves, you will all of a sudden have amazing friendships. And here's what happened at the party that night. So I read this book, and this chapter in particular really stuck out. And I go to this party, and I'm like, all right, I am going to be just asking questions to everyone there. Hey, how's your family doing? How's your son doing? How's your cat doing? How's the company doing? Don't you have a daughter who's married or engaged right now? Hey, what do you think of so and so? Right, in a good way, not. I'm not talking about, spreading rumors. Hey, what do you think about this? Oh my gosh, look at this picture. What is this? Can you tell me more about this? Didn't you just get back from somewhere? Like, how was that trip? How's the RV doing? Hey, did your family go with you on that trip? Just those simple questions to the people there, all of a sudden they're beaming. They're like dying for someone to ask them these questions versus someone to sit there and talk about themselves. And gosh, I have been guilty of this, where I'm sitting there like just thinking, racking my brain, all right, what's a funny story I can tell? Because I feel like, to me, that's a way to break this awkward silence. And for me, for parties, even though I'm mostly gregarious and kind of a fun guy to be around, I still, I have some of that anxiety still, where I just get real tense if there's like awkward quietness or I'm around quiet people, and I'm trying to find some funny story to talk about, when in reality, all I have to do is just go to the well and ask them a simple question like, hey, have you taken any trips recently? Hey, it's, in the summer, you guys got any like last minute trips or anything big planned for the fall? Hey, what are you guys doing for Christmas this year? I mean, even going out that far, like, wow, Joe's really thoughtful, already asking me about Christmas. And you think that's silly, but it's crazy when you ask people, even stuff way into the future, they all of a sudden think, wow, he or she is really interested in me. This is what a great person. It's so crazy. Versus the other way is us trying to think of some funny story or something cool that we did. Oh, let me tell you about my trip to Turkey, right? And there's obviously a place for that. But if you want to become instantly popular and magnetically attract people to you, start asking them about themselves. So at this party, I will not name names because there might be some people who listen to this that were at the party, but I'm watching how people are interacting. And there was one person in particular who was only talking about themselves and things they're going through and things with their insurance and just, all these little sob stories, honestly. And it was driving me nuts. And I'm watching the people around this person not listening or caring one iota about their little boohoo story. And I'm just like, I wanted to smack them and say, hey, start asking them questions about themselves, not about yourself. And you can see your whole conversation and the interaction will completely change. And it's crazy. I mean, you'll see it at parties. You've got that person who's just talking about themselves and, oh, I did this. And, oh, gosh, my husband or my wife did this. And, they're just going on and on about themselves, whether it's a sob story or if it's a funny story. And you'll notice that people will start leaving. Oh, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. Whereas if you're in a really engaging conversation, or if someone's just asking you one question after another about you ain't leaving. You might pee your pants before you go to the bathroom. You're like, oh man, this is the best conversation I have ever had. And I've heard that from so many people who have really mastered this. They're like, man, it's crazy. I will not say hardly a word. I'll ask just 4 or 5 questions in a 30-minute conversation and let the other person talk. And they think I'm the best conversationalist ever because I just did the magic mirror and flipped everything back to them. So practice this the next time that you are at a party. Social engagement, heck, even just sitting in a doctor's office, right? Even on in a airplane or in line for something, and there's someone there near you, just start asking them questions about themselves. You will be amazed what happens and how many more friends that you will meet. You will be amazed at even some of the great conversations that you'll have and even great friendships that might blossom from it. We met a really great couple in Tampa from doing just that. I remember how the whole thing started, and we were both 2 couples who were kind of outcasts. We were both new to the area, and we're there at a big party and just started asking them every question you could possibly imagine about themselves. And we ended up becoming really, really tight. And over time, they obviously found out more about us. But I remember it vividly. We were just peppering them with questions about where they came from and where they're living now, and what they're doing, their kids' ages, and what their kids are into. And all of a sudden, they thought we were the cat's meow. And it was all because we put it about them. And then part number 2 is just being a good listener. Don't going to your phone when someone's in a conversation. If you feel it vibrating, let it vibrate, right? If you feel like someone's calling you, let it go. Wait till the conversation's over. There's nothing worse. We all hate it, right? Don't we hate that? Don't you hate that? When you're in the middle of a conversation with someone, they literally go to their phone, even they might be listening and trying to listen, they're looking for or at something else. And once again, I did that somewhat recently, and I felt horrible about it. And that person probably never wants to share any stories with me. Oh yeah, freaking telling a story to Joe, and he's looking through his phone. So this book hit me in the right time. Thank you so much, Don, for sending it. It's called Skill with People by Les Giblin. Super easy to read. And it's a lot of things like this about, just being a good listener, showing enthusiasm and how you make people feel, right? That's really what it comes down to. And it's really what's most important to employees, right? And it's how do we make them feel by being part of our team? And a lot of that comes down to listening and, making it about them and asking how their kids are doing, their wife, spouse, dog, cat, whatever, pet fish. So continue to do this, continue to try it. You will be amazed at how many more things you get invited to. you will be amazed at what people say about you behind your back in a good way. That, oh man, Joe's such a good conversationalist, and my mom is really, really good at this. I've watched her in all kinds of different social settings, and she just puts the spotlight on other people and just asks them a million questions. And even though there might be something big going on in her life, like something that she's probably dying to share, she won't say a word unless someone asks her about it and does the reverse thing on her. It's not easy, right? Because we're all just like dying to share this big news. I got a promotion, or my kid did this or whatever, and you want to show up, or I caught this massive fish, right? We're just dying to tell everyone about this. But if you can start flipping the script and making it about them, you will be shocked at all the awesome things that start coming into your life. Once again, this is not about winning a popularity contest. This is about being a great human. This is about being a godly person, right? Someone who's putting other people first and becoming a good listener. And ultimately, right? I mean, this does go back to Jesus and God, and church, unchurched, is how we're making people feel, right? I mean, to me, that's how we're going to get judged, right? How do we make people feel? Did we lift people up, or did we put people down and only concerned about ourselves and our egos? All right. So sometimes we've got to take a look in the mirror, and this was a good one for me. Books always hit me at the right time. So once again, thank you, Don. It's crazy how many books have made it into my life, either by recommendation or someone literally putting them in the mail like Don did to me. And I read them and I'm like, oh man, I needed this right now. So hopefully this hit the right person or right people, and this message was impactful. Start using it in your life. Don't just nod your head and say, yeah, he's probably right. Start using it, start trying it, and you will be shocked. Even if you're shy, even if you have social anxiety, like I had for so many years, and still struggle with that in certain settings where I don't know anyone. I still get a little bit of that anxiety. You have to do all my slow breathing, and then I kind of go armed with all these questions, and I'm just going to start asking people. And it's crazy how people start lighting up versus if you went into a room where you don't know anyone and start saying, oh, let me show you my fishing stories. Unless you're the world's best storyteller, you are going to struggle, and people are going to start leaving in droves to go find someone else who will ask them about themselves. So ask people about themselves, put it all about them, and you'll be shocked at what happens. Love you guys. If you have any questions or thoughts or cool stories where this has worked or not worked in your life, hit me up, joe@saltstrong.com, joe@saltstrong.com. Otherwise, I'll talk to you on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's